Avoid this mistake. If you want to actually solve problems with people, stop focusing on perfect solutions. Did you know that the key to resolving conflicts lies not in idealistic ideas, but in practical, actionable steps? The best way to improve your relationships and overcome challenges is by adopting a mindset that's grounded in pragmatism, where the focus is on real-world results, not what you wish could happen. In this video, we'll explore how shifting your perspective can help you navigate any conflict with ease and create real, lasting solutions. Number 1. Focus on practical solutions. Think back to a time when you faced a challenge with a person or a group. Maybe it was a misunderstanding with a colleague or a disagreement with a friend that felt like it might never get resolved. At first, you may have felt helpless or frustrated, wondering how you could change the situation. But then, the moment you shifted your mindset, things started to fall into place. Instead of focusing on what should have happened or wishing for an ideal outcome, you started thinking, what's the most practical way to handle this? That shift is exactly what pragmatism encourages us to do. Focus on practical solutions. It's easy to get caught up in abstract ideals of fairness, morality, or even what we wish things could be. But when you bring your attention to what works in the real world, you're more likely to find effective, actionable solutions. We all know the feeling of being stuck in a cycle of frustration, replaying the same scenario over and over in our minds. It's almost as if we want things to be perfect, or for people to act in ways we expect them to. But this is where pragmatism has a unique way of freeing us from that loop. It asks us to step back and ask, what is the next best step? What will actually resolve this issue, regardless of the ideal scenario? This perspective isn't about lowering your standards or settling for something less than you deserve. It's about seeing beyond the idealized versions of the situation and understanding what can be practically done right now. That shift in focus doesn't just help you get through conflicts, but it also cultivates a deeper sense of satisfaction because you start solving problems based on real, actionable steps, things that truly work in the world you live in. Number 2, measure by results, not intentions. Let's take a moment to reflect on a time when someone had the best of intentions but still ended up letting you down. You might have been in a tough spot, needing support, and someone promised to help. They said the right things. They genuinely meant well, but in the end, their actions didn't align with their words. You were left disappointed, and all their good intentions didn't change the reality of the situation. It's a tough realization, isn't it? And yet, this is something we all deal with. People mean well, but good intentions don't always translate into effective action. This is where pragmatism comes into play. It tells us to focus on results, not just intentions. When it comes to solving problems with people, the outcome is what matters most. When we're trying to solve a problem, it's easy to get caught up in how we feel about someone's intentions or what they wanted to achieve. But let's face it, the result is what truly matters. Did the situation improve? Did the conflict get resolved? Or did the person's good intentions fall short? Pragmatism teaches us that the practical value of an action lies in the result it brings about, not how we feel about the effort. While it's important to understand where people are coming from, we can't afford to let intentions override the practical, tangible outcomes. The key is in seeing the situation for what it is, recognizing when intentions don't align with real-world consequences, and using that insight to guide your actions going forward. The beauty of this mindset is that it's empowering. When you focus on results, you can move away from disappointment or resentment over others' intentions. You stop waiting for promises to be fulfilled and start measuring success by what actually happens. This shift gives you clarity and control, and it transforms the way you approach problems with others. Number 3. Adapt to the situation. Have you ever had a moment when things seemed to be going perfectly and then, out of nowhere, the situation shifted? Maybe you were talking with someone and what started as a casual conversation suddenly became heated. Or perhaps you were in a work meeting and everything seemed to be going smoothly until a new issue popped up that you weren't prepared for. It can be disorienting, right? You feel like you're in control, and then just like that, the situation changes and you're left scrambling to figure out how to proceed. This is the unpredictability of life. It's also the reality we all face when dealing with people. That's why pragmatism emphasizes adapting to the situation at hand. When the environment around you shifts unexpectedly, it's not about holding on to what you expected to happen. It's about adjusting your approach based on the new circumstances. This adaptability is not just about going with the flow, but about actively engaging with change in a way that allows you to navigate it successfully. Consider the challenges that have come up in your life, whether in relationships, at work, or even in your personal growth. There's always a moment where something unexpected happens, and how you adapt to it determines whether you succeed or stumble. Maybe you've had to adjust your communication style with someone because the previous approach wasn't working. Or maybe you've had to change how you manage a project because new obstacles popped up. These shifts can be jarring, but they're also opportunities for growth. In those moments, the practical wisdom of pragmatism shines. It encourages you to observe the situation closely and make decisions based on the current reality, not on what you thought would happen. The key is being flexible, allowing yourself to change course when needed, and trusting that this adaptability will lead you to more effective solutions. This mindset is empowering because it means that no matter what comes your way, you have the ability to adjust, learn, and find a way forward. The world isn't static, and neither should you be. Number 4. Learn from experience. There's something deeply comforting about the idea of learning from our past experiences. Think about a time in your life when you faced a difficult situation, perhaps a conflict with someone, or a time when you made a mistake. At the time, it might have seemed like the end of the world. You might have felt embarrassed, frustrated, or even defeated. But over time, you probably realized that those moments, however painful, were some of the most valuable learning experiences you've had. Experience teaches us lessons that textbooks and theories can never fully capture. This is the heart of pragmatism, the belief that our past experiences hold the key to solving current problems. When we reflect on the situations we've been through, good or bad, we gain insights that we can use in future challenges. These lessons aren't always immediately clear, but over time, they shape the way we think and act. Think back to a time when you were faced with a tough decision. At that moment, you didn't have all the answers, but you made a choice based on what you had learned in the past. Maybe it was a lesson from a previous conflict, or something you had learned from observing someone else's success or failure. This accumulated wisdom is invaluable when solving problems with people. What makes this even more powerful is that learning from experience doesn't just mean remembering past mistakes. It means understanding the nuances of those situations and using them to guide future actions. Every interaction with others, every conversation, and every disagreement offers us the chance to learn something new. Pragmatism encourages us to see those moments not as setbacks, but as stepping stones to greater understanding and better decision-making. By embracing the lessons of experience, we gain confidence in our ability to navigate future challenges. We stop repeating the same mistakes and instead use our past to guide us towards smarter, more effective solutions. This mindset is especially valuable when dealing with people because it helps us understand that every encounter is a chance to learn, grow, and improve. Number 5. Find common ground. Through action. Think about a time when you were at odds with someone, whether it was a colleague, a friend, or a family member. It felt like you couldn't see eye to eye on anything, right? The more you talked, the more the distance seemed to grow between you two. Conversations started becoming more about proving who was right and less about finding a way forward. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of debating, but have you ever noticed that this rarely solves the actual issue at hand? This is where pragmatism comes in. It asks us to stop overanalyzing the disagreement and instead find common ground through action. Pragmatists believe that truth is discovered through what works in practice. The more you focus on taking concrete steps to solve a problem, the more you'll begin to see what you share with the other person, rather than focusing on the differences. Let's consider this. Instead of endlessly talking about what's wrong, you start thinking, what can we do together right now that helps resolve this? Maybe it's working on a project together, or making a small compromise to address each other's concerns. Action creates a bridge. By collaborating on something tangible, you might uncover shared values or goals that weren't immediately obvious when you were stuck in a cycle of words and frustration. We've all been there, where the arguments go in circles and it feels like no progress is being made. But the moment you shift your energy from talking to doing, something powerful happens. You start solving the problem, and in doing so, you're also building understanding and trust. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about finding a way forward that benefits everyone. Pragmatism reminds us that action speaks louder than words. And often, by doing something practical together, you'll find that common ground you were searching for all along. Number 6. Embrace change and growth. Do you remember a time when you faced a challenge that seemed overwhelming? It might have been a big life transition, a new job, a relationship, or a shift in your personal goals. At first it felt like you were stuck, like things would never feel normal again. But then, over time, you realized something powerful. You had changed. You had grown. This is the essence of pragmatism. It's the recognition that growth and change are essential parts of life. Sometimes when we face conflict or challenges, our natural instinct is to resist change. We want things to stay the same, or we wish that things could go back to how they were. But change is inevitable, and it's through embracing it that we can solve problems and improve our relationships with others. Consider a time when you've had to navigate a conflict with someone. Maybe you were set in your ways, believing your perspective was the right one. But through dialogue and reflection, you were forced to see things from their point of view. That shift in thinking didn't just resolve the conflict, it helped you grow as a person. Pragmatism teaches us that it's not the struggle itself that matters, but how we adapt and evolve as we move through it. Life isn't static, and neither should we be. Embracing change means allowing yourself to grow, to adapt, and to approach problems with a new set of tools. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities for improvement rather than obstacles to overcome. By embracing change, you not only resolve conflicts with others more effectively, but you also deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. This growth doesn't happen overnight, but with each step forward, you become better equipped to handle whatever comes next. Number 7. Tackle immediate issues. First, think back to a time when you were facing a big problem, something that seemed daunting and complex. Maybe you were dealing with a difficult person at work or juggling multiple responsibilities at once. It can feel overwhelming, right? When we're faced with a large issue, it's easy to get caught up in the enormity of it all, to start worrying about everything at once. But when was the last time that worrying helped you solve the problem? Pragmatism teaches us to focus on what we can address right now, what's immediate and tangible. Instead of getting lost in all the possible outcomes or future complications, it's about identifying what needs to be done today. What's the one thing that, if you solve it, will make the biggest difference? When you break down a big problem into smaller, more manageable steps, you'll start to feel less overwhelmed. This isn't just about tackling the easiest problem. It's about identifying the issue that has the most impact on the current situation. Maybe it's addressing a small misunderstanding before it turns into a larger issue, or maybe it's confronting the most pressing task before it snowballs into something more complicated. By focusing on immediate issues, you're not only solving the problem at hand, but you're also creating momentum. Each small step you take will give you the clarity and confidence to tackle the next challenge. Pragmatism teaches us to act in the present moment. The more you engage with what's right in front of you, the less likely you are to get paralyzed by the overwhelming nature of a complex problem. Taking action, even if it's just one small step, brings you closer to a solution. Number 8. Focus on practical benefits. Have you ever found yourself caught up in a long discussion or argument, only to realize that you're not really getting anywhere? It's as if you're spinning your wheels, discussing theories and hypothetical situations, but no one's actually moving toward a solution. It's frustrating, isn't it? We've all been there, when we focus so much on what's theoretically right that we forget to consider what actually works in practice. This is where pragmatism shifts the conversation. It asks us to focus on practical benefits. Instead of getting lost in idealistic debates or abstract concepts, pragmatism encourages us to ask, what will actually help in this situation? What tangible, real-world benefits can we gain from resolving this issue? How can we make the situation better, not in theory, but in a way that has concrete, measurable impact? When you focus on practical benefits, you stop getting distracted by irrelevant details and instead direct your energy towards solutions that actually work. This approach is especially useful when dealing with people. Instead of arguing over what should be or what could be, you start asking yourself, what can we do to make this better right now? This mindset is both liberating and empowering because it cuts through the noise and brings clarity to what really matters. By embracing pragmatism in your approach to solving problems with people, you're able to create outcomes that matter, not just in theory, but in practice. You'll find that when you focus on practical benefits, you not only resolve conflicts more effectively, but you also foster stronger, more productive relationships. If you've made it this far, drop a thumbs up. This shows you're part of the 0.01% who actually finished what they started. It's clear that you're serious about solving problems effectively and making real change in your life. By embracing pragmatism and focusing on practical solutions, you're already on the right path to navigating conflicts and improving your relationships. If you're ready to continue on this journey and dive deeper into making positive, lasting changes, make sure to subscribe to the channel. By joining our community, you'll get more content that will empower you to tackle life's challenges with clarity and confidence.